Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report, edition number 21. Excellent guest today. A lot of you guys have been asking me to get him on. Waited until the perfect time. He just won a show over the weekend at Dallas Europa. We are with Shaun, the Giant Killer Clarida. Clarida, Shaun, thanks for joining us.
No problem. I appreciate you having me on, Ron.
First of all, congratulations. Well-earned victory over there.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. It's a relief to find the qualification.
Qualification, and just so people know, this was not your first pro victory. You won the Vancouver Pro in 2015, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you've had numerous top three finishes, but
Yeah.
still, number one must always feel a little better than those.
Oh yeah, man. To win is great. I mean, Vancouver was a great win, obviously, but the lineup wasn't as deep as it was this weekend.
Yeah.
21 guys in the Europa class, and we had other Olympians.
Yeah.
And that Charles Dixon, Ahmad, Dobemore. So it was a tough battle, and I'm just glad I made it through.
And just I don't know how many people checked out the contest photos, but this lineup was pretty deep. I was looking at last place guys with strided glutes. So
Yeah.
no joke.
It wasn't easy at all. Everyone brought it, and I was surprised by some of the guys who weren't in the first call out.
Right.
Like, wow. So
did this feel like a little redemption for you? Because a few weeks ago we're in New York, White Plains, New York, at the New York Pro, and this is nothing against Ronnie Rockel. I'm a fan of his as well, but I thought you had that show wrapped up. A lot of
yeah.
people at the show felt the same way, but same way with De La Rosa. I kind of thought De La Rosa had that show, and then at the end of the night, Sergio won that. Ronnie Raquel wins the 212, and a lot of us sitting there like, huh, that's the way it goes. So just revisit New York for a minute for me. How close do you think that show was, and why do you think they might have picked Rockel over you at that particular day and night?
It's with every show it's different. Every judging panel has its favorites, what they want. Sometimes they go with size, sometimes they go with the aesthetic, sometimes they go with conditioning. It all depends on what the judges want that weekend. Obviously, you have different judges in New York than we did in Dallas. Ronnie Rocco's a big guy. He's an open competitor. We all know he's Olympian in the open class. So realistically, he's a favorite in my opinion coming into the show, and I knew that. I just think they went for more size. He had enough size over me. He had the conditioning that was good enough. Even though my conditioning was just as good, he had a bit more size, obviously. I did want to win that show more than anything. I had my entire family there. I was close to home, and I was third the previous year, so I was just close, thinking I would have it this year. But unfortunately, I didn't get the win. But again, second is great. Again, another deep lineup. I believe it was 26 guys.
Yeah.
Again, this guy in the entire class. So regardless, I'm happy of how New York went. But the goal coming into this weekend's Europa show is to be better than we were in New York. We had a few complications in New York that didn't allow me to be 100%. And obviously, I didn't put that out there. No one knew that. Myself and Matt obviously knew that. And we made adjustments for Europa this weekend, and we brought it 100% for sure this weekend.
Is there anything you want to go into, or did you get sick at the last minute? Any injuries?
It was just simply digestion issues. I mean, my food wasn't digesting properly, and it was causing my stomach to be a little kind of puffy, and I wasn't able to hit certain shots like I wanted to. So it did bother me in certain shots, and I could feel it when I'm on stage, and I knew I wasn't at my best.
Yeah.
But I was obviously good enough to make it through to second place. So
It's funny you mention that because I think a lot of people who've never competed, or maybe they've competed a couple times, but someone like yourself who's been through this many times, they don't realize things like that can really wreak havoc with you. I remember Flex Lewis telling me about a show years ago where he already put this out there, so I'm not really saying anything that hasn't been said, but he was constipated like the last 4 days before a show, and he was just in agony. And
same thing. It was probably 4 or 5 days, and I just couldn't get it out of me. And me and Matt were hoping that we would be able to do it by the show day. And I woke up show day, still feeling the same thing, and I was just like, damn it. But what can we do at that point in time besides go out there and do our best? And again, I'm not one of those guys that likes to put things out there and make people feel bad for me or that BS. I'm just going to roll with the punches and see what happens.
Right. Now, with these interviews, I know a lot of people don't know everyone's history, so I like to at least delve into a little bit of that with everybody. You were a standout wrestler back in your high school years. How'd you go from that into bodybuilding?
I started wrestling in high school my junior year, and then obviously I started my senior year. I was 103 pounds my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
I loved wrestling so much that I wanted to continue, so I decided to continue in college. I went to Rider University. At that time, Rider University, I believe still to this day, is the #1 school for wrestling in New Jersey. And obviously, being a 103-pound guy, and with being 125, the lightest class in college, the coach told me, if you ever want a chance to even start, you need to get bigger.
Mm.
So when everyone else is running, trying to cut weight, I was forced to stay in the weight room and forced to eat.
Mm. Wow.
So I didn't miss the training. I met a bodybuilder in my gym. Again, I was clueless to what bodybuilding was at that time. No idea what it took. Met a bodybuilder who had competed. He's like, you have a great physique. I think you'd be great in bodybuilding. I was like, yeah, but it's not my thing. I'm a wrestler. He challenged me. He said, hey, let me help you do at least one show just so you can see what it's like. I was like, fine, I'll do it. So I did one show. After 3 months of training with him, dieting, whatever it took, did my first show, which was the NPC Mid-Atlantic in 2005. And I ended up placing 3rd in the lightweight novice class out of 5. And I was instantly bit by the bug, Ron. I immediately quit wrestling after that and just continued to bodybuilding. And I've been competing now 12 years. This week it was actually my 40th show.
Wow.
So,
What'd you weigh at your first show?
My first show was 118 pounds.
Woo! And you just won this show at 167?
67.
So I'm not very good at math, but that's just about 50 pounds of muscle you've put on.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
And you're 5'2"?
5'2", yep.
So to put that in perspective, I say like an inch of height, 10 pounds or so. So for you guys out there who are like 6 foot, that would be like you putting on 100 pounds of muscle. That's a lot of freaking muscle. So you started off that NPC show, then you gravitated toward some natural organizations, and you were actually a pretty dominant natural bodybuilder, even at the pro level for a while, were you not?
Honestly, when I first started competing, I knew nothing about federation, what federation did what. If there was a show somewhere that was local, I was doing it. I didn't know if it was NPC, INBF, WNBF, but obviously I did the INBF show around the same time frame. Ended up getting my WNBF Natural Pro card, and I was Natural Pro for a number of years. I won the World Championships. I'd won a number of shows, placed in the top 3. I was never out of the top 3 in the 4 or 5 years I competed there. But eventually you get to a point where it's like, you know what, I'm ready for the next challenge. And I'm ready to. And I knew at that point I obviously learned more about the NPC, knew what the IFBB was all about. And eventually once I kind of grew out of the WNBF, I decided to make my mark and start chasing that pro card. And I eventually came back to the NPC back in 2011 it was. Yeah. And I actually made my re-debut back at the same exact show, which was the Mid in 2011, where I actually walked away again, with this time with the bantamweight win and the overall.
And that's very rare for bantamweights in the overall in any NPC show.
Yeah.
I want to say you probably were the only one who had ever won, maybe in that whole state as a bantam, right?
From what I understand, I was the only bantam, and I believe still the only bantam to ever win the overall at that show in the 20-year history of the show.
Wow.
I don't think no other bantams have done it yet.
I mean, the only guys that ever come to mind are Dexter. He did it in the very early years down in Florida. And Marvin Ward, is he from New Jersey as well?
Marvin Ward as well, correct. He's from Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania, okay. Another amazing bantamweight who made the transition to a really good 212.
Yep.
A little story I want to tell people is, for the longest time, I don't think you knew how good you were. You really had no concept of it. Muscular Development did an event in May of 2009 at Strong and Shapely Gym, Bob Bonham's gym. What city is that? Somewhere in Jersey.
New Jersey, Rutherford.
Rutherford, New Jersey. And you were there, and you still hadn't made your re-entry back to the NPC. And I'm looking at you, and I'm saying, why don't you go for your pro card? All you got to do is get, I think it was you still had to win your class. It wasn't top 2 at the Nationals. But easily, to me, I was looking at you, that's a bantamweight national champion right there. And you didn't see it. I said, dude, I watched the coverage of the Nationals every year, and trust me, just get in shape, get up there, you got it. When did you finally get that confidence to realize that you did have this physique with this type of size, shape, and balance that could do very well?
again, once I kind of developed more about the sport and kind of visited what the IFBB is about, I started following guys such as Jose Raymond, Marvin Ward. Obviously, Dexter's always been a favorite, David Henry. And I said, you know, and obviously talking to Jose before I even came over, Jose said the same exact thing. Like, dude, you can go in there and kill this bantamweight division, get your pro card. Yeah. And I think it was 2010 when it finally clicked in my head. Like, you know what? I think I'm ready. And I had just won the WMBF Worlds in 2009, the lightweight title. Yeah. Came back to the following year, and unfortunately took third at the same show. And at that point, I was like, you know what? It's time for me to move on. And 2011, again, I made my re-debut back to the NPC. I won the NPC Mid-Atlantics. I won the Atlantic States bantamweight class. I won the Team U bantamweight class. Yep. Fortunately, I didn't win the Nationals that year. I actually was, I think it was like last place at the Nationals that year.
Wow. What happened?
I think it was my colors completely off.
I was like, how do you take last place? Come on.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe because I did so many shows, I was burnt out by the time I hit Nationals. Yeah. But when I came home that year from Nationals, I got right back to the gym. Came back the following year, 2012, and got the job done. Won the bantamweight class, my pro card.
So here you are. It's end of 2012. You got your pro card. You won it around 135, 140. What'd you weigh?
143 at the Nationals.
Okay, so 143, the top of the class. At that point, you know, you well aware of the 212 class. What did you think you had to do to be ready to step up with the 212s and be competitive?
You know what's crazy? Going into even the Nationals, going into it, everyone is kind of like saying, what's the point? Why are you doing that? You're not going to be a good pro. And even after winning the class, everyone's like, well, congratulations, your career is over. Wow. Because at that time, there weren't any bantams really stepping up and doing anything in the 212. And I understood that. I saw it. But at the end of the day, I knew that wasn't it for me. I knew that if I gave it enough time, which I did, I took an entire following year off and didn't come back to 2014. And I grinded. I put the weight on I needed to. Obviously, my debut in New York Pro 2014 didn't go as expected. But again, my first pro show, I was 150 pounds, again, soaking wet. And I knew that, you know, it just takes time. Little by little, I'm going to keep putting on the size, making improvements, and eventually I'll climb that ladder. And I'm doing that today.
Yeah. Were you working with Meadows for a while, John Meadows, in the Mountain Dog training?
Yes, I worked with John for, I believe, a year or two. And then 2016, I decided to start working with Matt Jansen. Okay.
Was John mostly the training aspect?
At one point, John was everything. He was my training. He was my nutrition. But again, in 2016, I wanted something a little bit different. And personally, I felt bad because John and I were competing against each other. When in Vancouver Pro, he was in the same show, and I was my coach. Yeah. And I didn't feel right, you know. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go a different way, different option. Yeah. I contacted Matt Jansen. Obviously, I've known Matt for years. See what he's done with his clients, especially Dallas. Obviously, he and I connected, and then I still work with John for training. Yeah. So I have John Meadows for my training. I have Matt Jansen for everything else, and I feel like I have the perfect dream team, man.
So you've always been known as a very hard trainer, a very strong guy, especially for your size. We'll get into that later because some of the weights I've seen you moving are just ridiculous. But you know, a lot of people are fascinated with the Mountain Dog training. They've never given it a chance. What do you think it did for you as far as a different style than what you've been used to and how your body responded to it?
That's just it. It's just a different style of training. My body is so used to, you know, this movement, this movement, this movement. With John's training, I never know what to expect. Every day is a different exercise, different rep scheme, different sets, different reps. I never know what to expect. John obviously is a big advocate of bands as well. So just utilizing different movements, different exercises, it definitely helps stimulate my body, stimulate new growth, and it works great. I absolutely love it. I'm obviously going to reach out to John this week and discuss putting together a plan for Olympia this year. This year alone, me and John, I talked to John for training, and we actually tried something different. We realized that chest and back were two of my weakest areas. Yeah. So John put together a plan for me where I was training chest and back 3 times a week. And it was brutal in the beginning. Yeah. But it worked. And you know, my body adjusted to it properly. Again, with having the right nutrition, having the right rest, it all came together. It all worked perfectly. And I think that, you know, between Matt and John, I couldn't ask for a better team. Yeah.
You know, just touching on that for a second, you know, if you told most guys train something 3 times a week, especially a major body part like chest or back, they look at you like you're out of your mind. It just seems impossible that you'd be able to recover and grow from it. But you definitely saw improvements doing that, correct?
Yeah, because you got to realize too, it's not like you're beating that muscle up the same way all those 3 days. So some days like an upper back, some days a lower, mid back, some days more machines, some a barbell. So every workout during that week is always different. So some days are higher reps, some days are lower reps, some days are, barbells and dumbbells, some are, just strictly machines. So everything is always different. Again, with having the rest and the nutrition, I could recover no problem. Yeah. So I was training, I would go in Mondays and do the chest and back, come back on Wednesdays, do another chest and back movement, and then come in like a Friday or Saturday and then hit it again. And in between, obviously, I was doing my legs, hamstrings and quads, adding arms here and there whenever I need to. Arms, I don't really train as much because I feel like since I'm hitting back 3 times a week, this will need to really hit it. And also with chest, I'm hitting my shoulders, so I don't really train shoulders as well either. So it worked great.
Yeah. Just talking about your strength for a minute, because, the guys who have this crazy strength like Johnny Jackson, Branch, Akam, they get an extra level of respect because there's a lot of guys out there who they follow the sport, but they're kind of like lifters, bodybuilders. They want to do it all. They want to be big, strong, and so they have an extra level of respect for guys like you. Were you always strong, or was that something that you worked on over the years to get to this crazy level you're at now?
I think I've honestly always been strong. I just never really realized it until I came into the sport. I always believe in heavy training. I just feel comfortable lifting heavy weights, and everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta be careful. You're gonna hurt yourself." I personally can't touch a lighter dumbbell and do more reps. I don't feel like I worked the muscle enough. So even up until last week of the show, I'm still going balls to the wall, squatting 500. I have no care in the world because I know that this is what works for my body.
Yeah.
You can't tell me to cut my weight in half and I'm gonna get a good pump. I don't believe in pumps. I don't know what the hell that even is.
So let's assume you're doing all this close to contest condition. So let's say you're like a 170, 180. What are some of the weights you're moving at that body weight?
So my squats up until literally my last leg workout before New York Pro, I was doing I think it's 500 pound squats for reps of 6 to 8. I'm dumbbell rowing 190s. Go hand. I'm dumbbell pressing easily to 150s for reps. I'm just a heavy trainer. I think it works best for my body. And you gotta realize too, when you're training that heavy all the way through, you're building that dense, hard muscle. That's what brings that look to the stage. And again, the combination of the right diet, the cardio, and the heavy training is gonna bring a package that's unbeatable.
Yeah.
And then obviously Matt and John agree. Like, listen, if you can handle the weight and be injury free, by all means, do it. It's gonna pay off.
So Matt Jensen, great young coach. I think he proves you don't have to be 50 years old to be a great coach. He's got a real knack for it. You come along. You've already been competing over a decade by the time you start working with him. But what are some of the things that he had you do differently that your body's responded really well to?
Biggest thing is eating. Matt came in and said, "We need to feed you," and that was a major thing. Nothing else besides the food, because I was under eating. Again, being a wrestler, we're used to under eating and thinking it's okay. So I was kind of coasting with 4 or 5 meals throughout my entire career, and was just fine with that. Matt came in and said, "We need to pretty much double your food."
Wow.
And then, it took a while to get adjusted to eating all that food.
Yeah.
But eventually I got used to it, and it obviously increased my appetite at the same time, increased my weight training, which obviously increased more muscle mass.
Yeah.
And that was a key for me. I need to eat more. I'm a little guy, so I need to keep feeding the muscle. And again, that allows me to train heavier and harder and put on the size that I put on. I was able to put on 12 pounds from 2016 New York Pro to this past New York Pro.
Wow.
And it simply was just heavy eating and heavy training.
So, if you've done that, is it feasible you could, when you think of what you are ultimately capable of looking like, where do you see yourself? Maybe it's not a body weight. Maybe there's a body weight that sort of roughly corresponds to it. But where do you want to be eventually when you think you're going to be in your absolute prime?
Talking to Matt, I believe anywhere between 185 and 190 on stage.
Yeah. Wow.
And once I hit that with the right conditioning, I think we're gonna do some damage for real.
And I think goes to his credit. Matt worked with Dallas for a long time and put some good size on him and kept his waistline small. So are you confident you'll be able to keep your midsection pretty small and tight as well?
Absolutely, that's something I work on daily. I keep that's one thing I always focus on, my abs, my core. I don't want to lose my lines, my conditioning, my shape, and suffer just to get bigger. Yes. So I'm definitely gonna make sure that stays in check. Again, we're just throwing a number out there, 185, 190. But again, if it's 180, 175, we know we made the improvements. So be it. As long as that we made the improvements and we look better than we did in my last show, I'm all for it. But I think if 185, 190 with the same shape, same waistline, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, do you find it odd that so many people put so much emphasis on body weight, as far as they think if you're going to be a top 212 guy, you better be like 211 3/4. They don't realize it's a visual sport, and someone like yourself, I would imagine most of that lineup was pretty close to the 212 cutoff that you just beat, correct?
Correct. I was the lightest guy. Weighed in with clothes 172. And I believe the next lightest guy was Charles Curtis. He was 185, 190. But everyone else, I think Charles was literally 211 on the dot.
Do you still encounter, you talked about when you turned pro, people said, you're done, you're 142, whatever. Do you still encounter that because you're not one of the quote-unquote heavier guys in the class, that they don't think you're going to be doing that well? I
still get it, even till today. Even with the win this weekend, people are like, oh, he's still too small. Yeah. I was like, well, damn, what more do I got to do? I'm still proving that you don't got to be the biggest guy to win a pro show. Yeah. I've won 2 so far. Like, what more can I got to do? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what I've done. And like you said, scale doesn't mean anything to us. We do check our weight on a daily basis. That's just so we kind of gauge where things are at with my food and my conditioning wise. When we're around a certain weight, for me particularly, yeah, we know my conditioning is where it needs to be. If I'm a little too low, then we'll eat back up. If I'm too high, then we know, okay, conditioning might be suffering a little bit. But we were monitoring the entire weekend, every hour, sending pictures to Matt, checking my weight. What's your weight? What's your scale? He'll make changes to my food if need be. But again, we don't care about the weight per se. Yeah. But we just use it as a gauge.
So, the balance is all, everybody wants to be big, full, and shredded. But that's the elusive combination that pretty much most bodybuilders never really strike that 100% they want to. Have you struggled with that, where you're trying to always find that perfect combination?
It's tough at times, because I want to be the bigger guy, but I know that for me personally, what's worked best for me is my conditioning and my structure. So again, I want to be the biggest guy, but at the end of the day, I'd rather be the most conditioned guy, the most complete guy, than be the biggest guy on stage. If you look at pictures of Charles and I, you can't tell that I'm only 167 pounds on stage. Yeah. Unless I told you that, you wouldn't guess it. I mean, yeah, Charles is big, full, and round. You all know that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Weight doesn't matter for us. As long as we're bringing the complete package, top to bottom, yeah, that's what matters most.
So, I assume, you're climbing the ranks and you want to be Olympia champion eventually, I would think. So you look at these guys like Flex and Ashkenani, Jose, you really haven't stepped up next to them as an equal as of yet, but that's coming up soon. What do you think you need physique-wise to improve on before you're in that first call-out with them and you're pushing these guys?
I know there's some areas on myself that I want to improve upon. My inner thigh gap, I want to obviously improve upon that. My calves, I need a little bit more thickness to my back, a little bit more pec size. Again, these are the things we're going to continuously just work on and progress on. As far as conditioning-wise and shape-wise, I think I'm right there with these guys. They just have a bit more size and completeness over me. Yeah. And again, I want to be Olympia champ, period. And I know it's not going to happen this year. But again, year after year, I want to keep climbing that ladder, keep improving. And again, 2 pounds here, 3 pounds here, I'd say the next 3 or 4 years, not even less than that, I should be right and running, being compared next to a Flex and a Jose and a David. Yeah. So how many weeks is the Olympia now? Is it 8, 9 weeks away? We're at 12 and a half weeks.
12 and a half weeks. So this is what I've always wondered. You just competed, you just hit 2 shows that were, 3 weeks apart, 4 weeks apart?
Give or take 4 weeks.
So, you're in contest condition right now. yet you have 12 weeks before you get on stage again. What's the process? Do you take a little break? How do you plot that out so that you end up peaked again mid-September?
I don't take much time to really get in shape. Maybe about 10 weeks or so, give or take.
Yeah.
Right now, being that I just came off of 2 shows, my body needs a little bit of a break. So we're going to stay out of the gym for a couple of days. I'm still doing cardio every day because obviously now we're bringing the water back up, the food back up, and I don't want to blow up like a blowfish. So I'm keeping cardio in daily. This way when I eat back up, it's not bad weight I'm putting on, and I'm not, blowing up and just being full of water and crap. So we are doing, cardio every single day. We are staying away from the gym for a little bit to give my joints a little bit of rest, give my body a break because come next week, we'll be back in the gym getting ready for Olympia. So I need this break right now to kind of enjoy life, clear my mind, enjoy time with my girlfriend and my family, and then right back to work next week.
Yeah. Now, I look at your social media, and there's a lot of, you got a lot of fans out there, a lot of support. You inspire a lot of guys out there, particularly, a lot of us who weren't blessed with a lot of height or a lot of weight. What are some of the things that these guys tell you as to how you've inspired them to push on, even though everyone around them says, forget it, you're never going to be a bodybuilder, you're never going to look like a bodybuilder?
It's crazy, man. The messages I get, there's some of them very overwhelming, some that make me want to cry sometimes because these guys are telling me, like, hey, I look at your pictures, look at your videos, and it motivates me and inspires me. I got people telling me that I can't do it, and I say, if Shaun can do it, I can do it. And it just makes me feel good knowing that I'm going to be able to inspire somebody and motivate somebody because you got to think about it, when I came up, everyone's saying, no, you can't do it, no, you can't do it. These guys are looking at me saying, well, Shaun went through the same trials and tribulations. Look where he's at now.
Yeah.
So if Shaun can do it, with enough hard work, determination, perseverance, I can do it too. And I tell these guys, yeah, you can do it. If you want to be a pro, just do what everyone says. Keep chasing your dream. Don't listen to what these naysayers. Because these people are people who can't do it, who don't have a balls to do it, who have never done it. So I mean, it definitely motivates me getting those messages I get, the comments I get, and it's definitely inspiring. And it definitely helps push me because I know that these guys are watching. So I don't want to let these guys down either. I got to keep chasing for them.
So who has inspired you over the years? Who inspired you when you first started out? Is there anyone that's still competing now that inspires you?
Oh, yeah. The smaller guys. I mean, Marvin Ward, Jose, and even David Henry were the 3 main guys that I looked up. And Dexter Jackson was probably number 1 because, again, he started as a bantamweight. Like, everyone's like, this guy was a bantamweight, and look where he's at now, Mr. Olympia in 2008. So those 4 guys, and obviously the look of Flex Wheeler, like, I feel like my body resembles Flex Wheeler's as far as the aesthetics, the shape, and all that structure. But Jose, David Henry, Marvin Ward, all these lighter guys, smaller guys that were told no and persevered on and now are top guys. So those are the guys I admired, looked up to, followed, and kind of emulated to kind of create the person I am today.
So what's it like for you as someone who looked up to these guys and then you're standing on stage trying to beat these guys? Is it a bizarre feeling?
It's an honor. It's a privilege. I'm a fan. When I talk to Jose, I'm not a competitor. I'm a fan of Jose. A great friend, obviously. But again, when we're on stage, we're all there to win. It's a competition.
Right.
But behind the scenes, again, I'm still a fan. I'm still a friend. You can't get over that. First and foremost, I'm going to be a fan regardless.
I like to throw this out every once in a while. What are some of the hobbies or interests you have that have nothing to do with bodybuilding or lifting that people would be surprised to know about you?
I'm a homebody. I like watching movies. I'm a movie buff. Like, my girlfriend gets so mad at me because we'll sit there and watch a movie, and she's like, oh, this is a great movie. It's like, yeah, I saw this already. I'm a big-time movie buff. I love, drama, just horror movies. I'm a movie buff big time.
Do you train by yourself? Do you train, or is there any regular training partners that are part of this with you?
My girlfriend trains with me every single day.
You might want to mention her, give her a little credit here. What's her name?
Angela Emila, yeah.
Okay.
She trains me every single day, Ron. I don't trust many people when I train.
Yeah.
And most guys, I can't train with my girlfriend. I can train with her because she knows how to push me. She knows how to motivate me. She knows how to spot me, which is important. Yeah. And she busts my balls, Ron. When I tell you she busts my balls, you wouldn't believe it. If I'll pose for her, and she'll tell me, yeah, you don't look good here. So she's not someone who's going to blow smoke out my ass. If I look good, she'll tell me that. If I'm slacking or if I'm off, she's going to tell me that because at the end of the day, she wants the best for me.
Right.
So in the gym, it's the same way. If she knows I have 3 or 4 extra reps, she'll be like, let's go. Come on, what are you doing? Let's go. Keep pushing. And I'm like, well, shit. All right. So big props to her. I love her to death, man.
What is your favorite part of contest prep, and what's the part that you really could do without?
Oof, favorite part. I don't think anything's favorite, to be honest with you. Getting on stage is my favorite part. It's all said and done. I don't mind it. I don't mind the cardio sessions. I don't mind the training. The diet can be rough at times. Because, you're down to your last meal. It's like, shit, that's it. It's like, all right. That's the hardest part for me, the diet, when I get closer to the show, because my metabolism is running. I'm starving at all times of the day. And I'm just tired a lot. I'm very tired today. I still have a full-time job. So, I'm at work getting my meals in. I'm trying to handle work, and I'm like almost falling asleep.
Wow.
So that's the toughest part for me.
The 212 division, formerly 202. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, most of these 212 shows, that a lot of the contests I've been to are more competitive, more exciting than whatever's going on in the open class. Why do you think that is?
I think we bring the package that people are looking at. I mean, we're not the biggest guys on the stage, but we have enough size, enough conditioning, because most of these guys are having to get in shape to make the weight class. So I just think that, we look a different way. We're freaks. We're small. We're conditioned. We have enough muscle, and people like that. Not everyone can relate to the big mass monsters such as the Ramis and, the Phil Heaths and things like that. So I think we're very relatable to a lot of people, and I just think that, we just bring the complete package.
Yeah. I mean, you just touched on one thing. Condition, I think, is something. Theoretically, every pro that gets on stage is supposed to be in condition, but if you compare, on average, a 212 lineup to your average open lineup, 212, you rarely see anyone out of shape.
No.
You might see someone a little bit off toward the end of the placings, but generally speaking, you guys are pretty much on the money condition-wise, and I think the weight limit has a lot to do with that, because a lot of the 212 guys really struggle to get down to 212. In the open, it seems like a lot of them are just going for being as big and full as possible with kind of okay condition, and that's going to be good enough for them. Do you think the fact that you guys do bring that nice, crisp conditioning, earns the respect of the fans a little bit more too?
To an extent, I believe so. Again, like you said, we're having most of these guys, not myself, obviously, I have to make that weight. So you're forced to be in shape. Whereas the open guys are just let's be as big as full as possible and just be in enough condition. I mean, most of these guys are conditioned as well, but I think it's to an extent we have a little bit more respect because we're in shape all the time for the most part. At least most of us.
Okay. So you've come this far. What are the things you're still hoping to accomplish, both competitively and in the career side, the industry side of it?
To be honest with you, aside from being one of the best bodybuilders in the world, the Flex, the Jose, one of those kind of type of guys, I want to make this a full-time career, meaning, I want to just live and breathe bodybuilding, travel the world, sponsorships, and obviously winning big-time shows. As far as stage-wise, again, I want to win Olympia, period, one day. And not just one. I want to win multiple.
Yeah.
In addition to that, obviously, the Arnold will come along as well. I believe once I'm in that top 5, top 4 range, that will be the focus, just winning the title.
Yeah. Okay, so realistically, if you can make a little bit of improvements between now and the Olympia, I know we don't like to make predictions, but what is your goal? Where do you want to hopefully finish somewhere in the range of?
The goal this year is a top 8 finish, and I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied with that. Last year was top 10. And it was just short of, I was 13th last year. But again, we made improvements big time since last year. And being that I came into this Olympia with a win and beat some top guys who were top 10 finishers last year, being obviously Dobermore was top 10, Charles Dixon was top 10. I feel like this year I can definitely be a top 8 finisher.
And do you see, the top guys they're probably in their final years. I mean, realistically, Flex, I don't know if this is going to be his last year, but I can't see him doing this for another year, more than another year or two. Jose, maybe another couple of years. Dave Henry, same thing, maybe another couple of years. Where I see you as one of the younger guys coming up the ranks who's going to take those places. It's you and a few other newer guys that are definitely going to be taking the places and being the top 212 competitors. You know, do you ever think about it in those terms that, you know, I'm going to be taking the place of some of these guys that I've been looking up to for years and years?
Funny you mention that because I just had this conversation with my coach and my girlfriend. You know, these guys, like you said, they're getting toward the end of their career, and like, you know, I'm looking at who's the next batch of guys coming up, and I have to include myself in that.
Yeah.
You know, along with, you know, obviously Charles Dixon. He's a little older, but I think he's got some years left in him. Guy Sestanino's another guy who's still young and still, you know, kicking ass. I definitely feel like, you know, we're that next breed of guys coming up who will be the Flexes, the Jose's, the David Henrys, those top 5 or 6 guys who will continuously be in that mix.
Yeah. How old are you, Shaun?
34.
I mean, you look like you could pass for like 20 if you had to, but not a wrinkle in sight. Look at you. Awesome. So I want to give you a chance here to, well, first of all, let's talk about social media. What is your Instagram so people can find you on Instagram, Facebook, and all that?
Yeah, so my Instagram, I keep that pretty active. It's just Shaun Clarida, ShauncLarida. My Facebook is IFBB Pro Shaun Clarida. I'm also on YouTube. I have a page that I'm somewhat active on. I try to update it here and there. It's just Shaun Clarida. So, but mostly you can find me on Instagram.
Okay. And let's give you a chance to give credit to the team, because even though it's an individual sport, nobody gets to where you are all by themselves. So who's part of your team there?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's people behind the scenes making this happen, Ron. Like, yeah, I'm the guy that everyone sees and thinks that it's all me. It's not. Without these people behind me just pushing me along, I wouldn't be here, you know. So first and foremost, God, I'm absolutely blessed to do what I do, to be healthy and living my dream. My girlfriend, again, she's behind me 110%. She probably wants this more than I do sometimes. You know, my family, because they're supportive of what I do. Even though in the beginning they were kind of like, what the hell is this? What are you doing? Why can't you eat this food? And I'm a Southern family. My mom's making fried chicken and all this stuff, and she's getting pissed, but I can't eat it. And you gotta. Now she gets it. So my whole entire family now is like, hey, how'd you do? How'd you do? Send me pictures. So they're very active. Obviously my girlfriend's family is the same exact way. It took some time to understand what I was doing, but now they're just like my family, and they get it and they understand it. I have very close friends who I consider family, that are always in my corner. Of course, my coach, Matt Jansen, who, man, I just owe so much to him for his knowledge, his time, for everything he's done. He's been able to kind of just recreate the new me, along with John Meadows, who's obviously been in my corner and just helping me improve on the certain areas that needed improvement. Again, those two in my corner, man, between John and Matt, it's just my body is a whole new level now.
Yeah.
And I owe a great deal to them for that. And I don't have any sponsors. I have one sponsor, really. John, his name is John. He owns a store here in Fairfield called Nutrition Zone.
Yeah.
So he's taking great care of me. Anytime I need supplements or anything, I call him up, say, hey, John, I need X, Y, Z. He's like, done, come pick it up. You know, so I owe a great deal to him for that as well. And again, the biggest thing for me is the fans and all the supporters and everyone just sending me messages, comments, emails. Those guys help motivate me, push me, and keep me going. So I want to thank each and every person behind me 100% for, you know, everything they've done for me.
Cool. Well, I just want to say it's been a lot of fun watching. You know, I like to see hard work pay off, and you're definitely somebody who's been putting that work in year after year after year, making those improvements. And you know, I watch the little training clips here and there, and you're definitely someone who this doesn't come easy for you. It's a lot of hard work that's responsible for you making these gains and everything. So it's cool to see that pay off, and you're moving up the ranks now. I want to see you keep going up the ranks. You know, I want to see you get a great sponsor. I want to see you at top 5 at the Olympia. I want to see all this stuff happen for you. So I'm wishing you the very best. I appreciate you very much being part of the show today. And any sponsors out there watching, this is a guy right here you should look into, Shaun the Giant Killer Clarida, because great ambassador for the sport, hard work, humble guy. I don't know what else to say. He's a pretty cool kid.
I mean, I'm a fan of yours as well. We've been a friend for years. Yeah. And you've always been one of those guys like Jose, who's always been in my corner, just saying, hey, you know, you can do this. Yeah. You know, and there's not too many of you guys, yourself, Dave Palumbo. You're very few of you guys who actually believed in me as much as I believed in myself.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys for believing in me for the most part and saying you can do this.
Yeah.
Because again, having that from you guys who are reputable in the industry, it means a lot.
Cool.
So if these guys like, hey, Ron and Jose and Dave, these guys are heavy into this sport, they're telling me I can do this, then, well, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then obviously proving to myself I can do it, it definitely helps me and pushes me. So thank you guys for that.
Well, we were right. You can do it. Look at you. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you so much, Shaun, for joining us for the Ronline Report. This has been Ron with Shaun Clarida. Catch you guys later.
Later, guys.